Welcome back, Team 54. All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're taking a look at the writing prompt, Is it fair to ban fidget spinners? So, taking a look at your graphic organizer from your reading assignment, you have to pick a side. Either yes, they are distracting, or no, kids need to spin. So, again, when you take a look at these, your perspective, your opinion will probably be different than mine, and that is okay. I am not grading you on the side that you chose. I'm just looking at, are you able to defend your side using your own examples from your life and text evidence? So, as I'm sure you could probably guess, just because you know me pretty well by now, I picked the side of yes, they are distracting. So let me tell you my reasons from my personal experience and from the text evidence that support my opinion that I feel that fidget spinners are distracting. So first of all, when I jumped right into the article begins by talking about a young man named Ben. And Ben is sitting in class, and all of a sudden, he's sitting spinning his spinner, and he realizes, well, oh my goodness, I can take this thing apart. This thing can be taken apart. He says right here, one day during math class, he realized that he could take it apart and put it back together. So now he's got the fidget spinner out on the desk. He's taking it apart. He's putting it back together. Now this is math class, so it's really important that Ben pays attention. He's going to miss important information by taking apart and putting back together his fidget spinner. So because of this and other incidences in the school, the principal decided to ban fidget spinners from the school. So again, I felt like that was a really good example of why fidget spinners are a distraction. And again, you can disagree with me. That's okay. So my number one was Ben from the article, taking it apart. I know from fidget spinners that have been in my classroom, they do make a noise. It's like a little ticking sound as it spins around. And I don't know about you, but little sounds like that can be very distracting. Especially if you're the kid sitting next to the kid that has the fidget spinner and you're trying to pay attention and you hear this ticking noise happening next to you. So the natural human response is to take a look and say, well, what is that ticking sound? Oh, he's got a fidget spinner. Now, the next one, and this came from the text, is that some light up. I have seen some that light up. Now, when something lights up, it's meant to be looked at, right? That's the whole point of something that lights up. Well, if you're looking at the fidget spinner, then you're not looking at instruction that's happening. So there you go. It's another distraction, right? And then a big point for me is, what about the kid that's sitting next to the kid with the fidget spinner? You got this little thing that's making ticking noises. It's lighting up. The kid's taking it apart, putting it back together. That can be really distracting to someone that's trying to pay attention. So that was a big piece of my number one to support my opinion that they are distracting. Number two is that kids need to learn how to sit still and focus without a fidget. And again, this is just my opinion from my personal experiences in life, that you can't have a fidget when you are working certain jobs. There are many college situations where you cannot have a fidget to play with at your seat. So it doesn't really help you to train your brain that the only way you can focus is to have a fidget in your hand. So that was just my opinion, just from my life experience, that you can't always have a fidget in your hand to help you stay focused, especially one that's noisy or lights up, or you're going to be tempted to take it apart and put it back together. You have to somehow work on training your brain to be able to sit down and focus on instruction, on a college professor, to focus on your tasks at work without needing a fidget to get that job done. And I know it's a tricky issue because there are some kids that do have a lot of excess energy. So what do you do if you have excess energy? Well, that led me right into my third point to support my opinion. There are lots of different ways to get energy out, right? You can take a break. You can take a really quick break to get up and go get a drink and then come back and begin focusing again. maybe your classroom, I know ours does, has some different alternative seating spots where you can maybe sit during work time or possibly instruction time. And that can be something that's so novel for your brain or so different that your brain is interested in the fact that you're sitting in this different seat. And that's enough that it helps you to focus and pay attention. But there's lots of other ways to get those energies out, right? And it's all about training your brain and training yourself in what you need to help you focus, because everyone is different. So, based off of all of these different facts from the text and from my personal experiences, I go back to my opinion that they are distracting. So, go into the writing prompt. Here we go. Indent, right? Push that tab button. We need some kind of introduction, right? So, the fidget spinner took the world by storm back in the early 90s. Now, where did that information come from? It came from the text. Right up at the text, it said that the first version of the fidget spinner was invented in 1993. So that can be a good way to introduce. What are we talking about? We're talking about the fidget spinner. It's actually been around for quite a while. Then the text goes on to talk about how recently it's just become this craze. They have competitions where you can win money, and it's really just taken over as a really fun and interesting toy to play with. So let's see, recently this toy has become a world sensation and is often considered an appropriate way to get out excess energy in the classroom. Okay, so again, still working on my introduction, right? However, many people, maybe we could say teachers and students, many teachers and students feel that this device should stay a toy and not a tool for many reasons. So let's pause for a second. Now, I want to go ahead and make sure that you are taking a look at how my introductions have evolved, right? So in the beginning of our writing, we just had basic, very simple introductions. Something like if I was writing about animals, right, or pets, I could say there are many different kinds of pets and dogs are one of them. And there's my statement. That's how I'm introducing my writing. But now it's gone so much more, and this is my challenge for you this week. Try to add more into your introductions, right? Try to make them not necessarily a sentence requirement. It's not necessarily that it should be 2 or 3 or 4 sentences long. It's just you really want to draw it out, right? I said what I'm going to talk about, fidget spinners, and this toy came out in the 90s. And then I talked a little bit about how it's considered a way of getting excess energy out, because that's what the whole idea of this device is. I moved into the fact that unfortunately, and again, this part here is where I was really focusing on my opinion. My opinion, and many other teachers and students feel that this device should stay a toy and not a tool for many reasons. And now I'm going to talk about those reasons, right? But again, notice that I never said I am going to tell you about. Okay, so again, this week my challenge to you is to really try to draw out your beginning a little bit more before you jump in to your 1, 2, 3. So let me jump into my number 1. We've got Ben in the article taking apart his fidget spinner. And I did that one in red. Okay, so again, color coding is not a requirement. I just think it's fun. Okay, so here we go. The article gave the example of Ben, who is a student sitting in math class taking apart his fidget spinner. Oops, I forgot the T. Fidget spinner. rather than paying attention to instruction. Let's see, events like this led to these fidget spinners being banned from Ben's school. Okay, so where was I going from there? I was going to talk about the ticking noises, the lighting up, and what about the kid next to you? So, unfortunately, this toy can become a distraction. Let's see, similarly to Ben, similar to Ben, students will want to play with them. Let's see, well, I really want to focus on how they make noise. Similar to Ben, they can be a distraction by making noise as they spin and possibly lighting up. Okay, let's see. Now we want to go back to our idea that what about the kid next to you who's distracted by this fidget? So let's see. Not only is the student with the fidget distracted from learning, but Ben's neighbors cannot focus either. So sadly, this device can keep many students from learning. Okay, so what I did here is I talked about all my big points just for my number one. And again, I really want to challenge you to keep adding detail to your writing. If you were to look back, you would see a big difference in our writing prompts from way back when we began this e-learning to now. My introductions are longer, my information from my chart now has multiple ideas as opposed to just one. So that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking at your writing online. I'm looking for, are you adding details? Are you adding details from your knowledge, from the text, to really develop your writing? Now then I would go ahead and keep moving on. I would move into my kids need to learn how to sit and focus without a fidget. And I'd give some examples of jobs where you have to sit and pay attention and you just can't be able to have a fidget in your hand. And then I might talk about situations like college classrooms. Not all college professors are going to be okay with students having fidgets. Especially if they're noise making or they light up or things like that, because then it becomes something more of a distraction for others. So again, I want to challenge you to keep adding details. Examples from your life are really powerful because they really get your message across about your opinion on the writing. Text evidence is very powerful because that tells the reader that you have this information, this statistic, this number, this date to support your opinion. So again, last chance. Last time, I just want to talk to you quickly about how your opinion can be different from mine. Maybe you choose this side. Maybe you choose no, kids need to spin. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle. I look forward to reading your writing and I hope everything goes well. I am out of time, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it up to you to figure out how we would conclude and finish this based off of the information that we have in our chart. Have a wonderful day, everybody. I'll talk to you later.